The Persistent Rumor presents Chocolate Yoddah Live.
Hey folks, Chocolate Yoddah here, spelled Y-O-D-D-A-H, because film studios are litigious. And welcome to another installment of Chocolate Yoddah Live. Almost forgot the name of the show. Today is Thursday, July 6, 2023. And what I want to talk to you about today is something that I actually experienced today. Even though I mentioned it yesterday. If I could just get my clothes to sit right. I mentioned it yesterday, and I said I was going to expand on it another time, and today is that other time. So here it is. I want to talk to you about agenda. And on the YouTube thumbnail for this, or the YouTube channel, whatever, the subtitle for this video is, just how, agenda is just your imagination running away with you. So I thought I'd look up the lyrics to that song, and I was actually surprised. Everybody knows that song, right? It was just your imagination once again running away with me. Actually, just my imagination once again running away with me. For those of you offended by my singing, too bad. Anyway, so when I read the lyrics, what I realized is that the song is actually tragic. I never really paid attention to the lyrics. It was always just a pleasant song. I've heard it all my life. And didn't really pay attention to the story, right? But here it is, and I think it's Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, right? So here are the lyrics. Each day through my window, I watch her as she passes by. I say to myself, you're such a lucky guy. To have a girl like her is truly a dream come true. Out of all the fellows in the world, she belongs to me. But it was just my imagination running away with me. Now, he gives a hint to this because he says he looks through his window and watches as she passes by, but then he says, you're a lucky guy to have her. And it's like, wait, what are you talking about? Why is she passing by, and why are you looking at her through your window if she's in your life? But she isn't, right? He goes on. Soon we'll be married and raise a family, a cozy little home out in the country with 2 children, maybe 3. I tell you, I can visualize it all. This couldn't be a dream. Far too real it all seems, but it was just my imagination running away with me. Every night on my knees, I pray, dear Lord, hear my plea. Don't ever let another take her love from me, or I would surely die. Her love is heavenly. When her arms enfold me, I hear a tender rhapsody, but in reality, she doesn't even know me. Once again, running away with me. Oh, tell you, it was just my imagination running away with me. I've never met her, but I can't forget her. Just my imagination. Ooh, yeah. Running away with me. Just my imagination running away with me. Damn, what a sad song. What a tragic song. Never knew it till today. Heard it my whole life. Heard the song my whole life. Never realized how sad it actually is. So now I know. So what is the deal with agenda? Sorry, I almost slipped into Jerry Seinfeld there. What's the deal with agenda? And before I forget, because sometimes I do. Have some folks on Wisdom joining me. Hello. When I'm done, I will invite you on to share your thoughts if you so desire. So hang in there, Wisdom folk. And I'm also simulcasting on Clubhouse. Speaking of agenda, yesterday I did the whole podcast on Clubhouse on mute. That definitely was not part of my agenda, but hey, that's what happened. So what's agenda all about? When I think about agenda, I really do think about imagination. Because your agenda, right, whether you write it down or just think about it, like let's say today you have an appointment at, just to pick a number, 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's something you want to do, something you intend to do, something you plan to do, right? But it's not actually happening right now. You're thinking about something that exists in the imaginary realm of the future. Just think about it. You're never actually in the future. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. The only place you can possibly be in, to the best of my knowledge, as a talking monkey, is in the present. So whenever you plan for something, like today I planned to start this podcast at 2 p.m. Until it actually started, it was literally my imagination. And I'll tell you what was not on my agenda for the day: to wake up with my stomach bothering me. It was in a state of revolt for some reason, and I didn't plan on that. That wasn't part of the agenda. And we'll get to that later. We'll get to what happens when your agenda is not met, because this is, to me, very useful to understand. So anyway, you have this appointment at 4 o'clock, right? You can visualize it. You can think about what you're going to wear. You can think about how you're going to participate, whether it means that you have to jump in a car of your own, or hire a car, or get on mass transportation, or walk, or whatever, or just get on your computer over, some either Zoom or something like it, right? All of that is your imagination. It's not actually happening. Just like the song. He imagined being married to her, living in the countryside with 2 or 3 children, but she didn't even know he existed. It was just his imagination. And it's just your imagination, right? Even if it's something that you do every day, and this is your intention, like, for instance, you know you have to be at work at 9 a.m. So you wake up whatever amount of time you need to ahead of time to get to work by 9. Sorry for the rhyme. And that one too. I warned you. I just like to make myself laugh sometimes. But anyway, you wake up and you start thinking about getting to work. And maybe the stuff that you have to do once you get there. And while you're doing that, you might be shaving, you might be taking a shower, you might be preparing breakfast or lunch or something like that. All the typical tasks that you have to do in order to get to work. And all of that stuff is happening in your imagination. Even if it's something that's you're planning to do 5 minutes from now. Oh, when I get out of the shower, I got to remember to make lunch. That's your imagination. That's just your agenda. It's what you plan to happen. It's what you hope is going to happen. And in most cases, you think it's absolutely going to happen. But haven't you ever woken up to a power outage and your alarm clock that you had plugged in didn't wake you up, and now you're running late? It's happened to me on more than one occasion. Suddenly, it's chaos. My agenda has been completely trashed, and now I have to do things that I didn't plan on. Or you get in your car, you're driving to work, and there's a huge accident, and you can't get around it. You are stuck. There's cars in front of you, there's cars to the left and right of you, there's cars behind you. You can't move. You have no choice but to sit and wait. And now you're going to be late to wherever you're going. That wasn't on your agenda. When you were imagining your path to work that day, the big accident that made you late was not part of what you were thinking. You might think generically, hey, I know it takes me a half hour to get to work, but I always leave 45 minutes in advance just in case. You might do that, just sort of generically on a daily basis, but you don't actually have it in your mind that, yes, today is going to be the day that I'm going to be late because of a big accident. That's part of my agenda. No, it's just something that happens. So what happens to you when your agenda is not met? I know for some of you, the answer is, man, I get pissed off. And as the saying goes, I'd rather be pissed off than pissed on. But that's not true for everyone. No shame. You have at it, you freak. But seriously, I know for myself, before I got a real hold on my anger. It was a real problem whenever my agenda wasn't met. I'd just fly off the handle. Sometimes I'd be screaming and turning red, and that's hard to see with my brown skin. But yeah, sometimes I'd get so angry, steam would be coming up off my gigantic bald head. And that is not a good thing, okay? Because anger and stress release cortisol into your bloodstream, and it's kind of the equivalent of battery acid. It literally weakens your heart. Enough stress can kill you, right? So this is not a good thing to have happen. And that's how I lived for years and years and years. Now, luckily, I was introduced to the idea of agenda when I was a fairly young guy. I was 24. I had joined a support group, non-clinical, just a bunch of average citizens getting together to support each other in personal development. And that was one of the biggest things that we talked about. That was a recurring theme throughout the 5 years that I was involved with this group. My imagination, my agenda. I think something is supposed to happen, and if something else happens, all hell breaks loose. Is that you? Be honest. How do you handle when your agenda is not met? Is it graceful? Is it easy breezy? It is for me now, after working on it for decades. That's how I finally am, most of the time. I certainly don't have a perfect batting average with that. But most of the time, when something happens, like another quick example, this morning I turned on my computer, and a lot of my stuff, especially the stuff pertaining to the podcast, is on an external drive. And when I clicked on the link that brings me there, it wasn't available. So I thought, oh, that's weird. Let me reboot the computer. I did that, and it still wasn't available. And I was like, well, this is potentially a problem, but let me see. So I had to crawl under the computer, disconnect the cable, wait a few seconds, reconnect it, and it worked. But the big difference for me is that I didn't get annoyed or angry. What I was taught is the concept of what's next, right? Whenever something happens, just step into it because it's next, right? Even if it's not in your agenda. And I would say maybe especially if it's not on your agenda, in your imagination, your hopes, dreams, desires, right? If it is counter to what you imagined would happen, that's the most important time to just say, well, this is what's next. Let me just deal with what's next. And it sounds so simple, but it created a huge paradigm shift for me. And the main thing it did was completely avoid the stress and the poison of cortisol that was normally attending these moments. And you know, sometimes a ship will hit a huge iceberg and sink quickly, and sometimes it's 1,000 tiny holes. And that's what getting angry does to you. Every time you indulge in anger, you release cortisol and boom, you weaken your heart just a little bit. And then cumulatively, 1,000 little holes will sink a ship eventually. And so that was the thing I wanted to avoid. And it helped me be more present. Because if I was clinging on to my imagination and just refusing to let go of my agenda, I was wasting my own time. The ship has sailed, bro. What you wanted to happen didn't happen. That's just reality. It just didn't happen. Deal with it. Instead of just standing there screaming, ah! What the hell, man? Why? You're not going to get an answer. But the real answer is why? Because stuff happens, right? Whether you like it or not, things beyond your control, what little control you have, they're going to happen. So just get on with it. You know, step into what's next. Here's my imagination. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with wanting to have something happen. Nothing wrong with planning to have something happen. But now this other thing is happening. So what are you going to do? Helen Keller talked about that. She actually had a lot of brilliant quotes. My favorite is, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Wow. For a deaf, blind, mute woman, that is quite a statement. But I agree with that statement. But the other one is, and I don't know if I have this word for word, but it's, when one door closes, another door opens. But people spend so much time staring at the closed door that they don't see the open one. That's what happens when you're getting angry at the fact that your agenda wasn't met. You're angry because reality interfered with your imagination. That's all that happened. Reality intruded upon your imagination, and you are stubbornly, easy for me to say, stubbornly adhering to your imagination. And you're missing the moment. That open door that's right in front of you, waiting for you to step through it, you're missing it. No, I want this closed door to be open. That's what I wanted. That's what I planned. That's what I imagined. It's on my calendar. It's supposed to happen. Except the universe doesn't give a shit. Sorry to tell it to you like that. I know. Well, the secret says if I can see it, I can achieve it. Whatever. Tell that to someone rooting through garbage right now for food. Tell that to someone whose house burned down. Tell that to someone who had a heart attack and lost his house because he couldn't pay the bills. That's reality. No matter what your agenda is, stuff is going to happen that is different from your agenda. But the difference between the stuff that happens and your agenda is that your agenda is imaginary and the stuff that happens is real. So I find it incredibly helpful and useful to let go of my agenda the moment reality steps in. Reality has the trump card. Reality is the winner all the time. With all due respect to reality winner, whatever. Anyway, see, I almost went down a bizarre tangent just then. You're welcome. But really, it's something that for the last 20 some odd years, and really specifically and most consistently for me in the last 11 years, I realized the usefulness of letting go of my agenda at a moment's notice. And again, there really, I can't find fault with anyone who has an agenda. We all have agendas, right? We all have plans that we want to accomplish in any given day, week, month, year, 10 years, whatever it is. You have goals, you have desires, you have dreams. I can't find fault with that, and I won't even try. Right? You're entitled to those things. Have those things all day long. Just understand that you have to make adjustments based on what's real. It's sort of like an airplane. I heard it once that an airplane is going the wrong way 99% of the time. And it's all the instrumentation that helps the pilot keep it on course. Because, you got this huge hunk of metal defying gravity and hurtling through space at ridiculous speeds, hundreds of miles per hour. And there's gravity and wind force and momentum and all this other stuff, and it's constantly going off course. Would it make sense for the pilot for 99% of the trip to just keep screaming about how it's going off course? Or does it make more sense for him to accept what his instrumentation is telling him and make the adjustment? That's a great analogy. I think I'll keep using that. If I do say so myself. So I think that's it. I think I've covered all the things that I wanted to cover. See, that mistake wasn't on my agenda, but it's funny. Agenda is what it is. Nothing wrong with having it. But always remember that reality is going to be the thing that is going to determine what your life actually is, despite what you have in your imagination. And the simple solution, in my mind, is to embrace the reality, step into what's next, and just do whatever you need to do for that moment. And I think you'll find, as I have, that life gets a lot easier, it gets a lot simpler. And there's a dramatic reduction in your stress and anger and frustration because you're just accepting what is instead of fighting against it. So that's it. I will end the YouTube portion. If anyone on Wisdom wants to find me, I do this every day. Wants to find me? No. If anyone on Wisdom wants to speak, you can now, but you can find me every day, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wisdom, on Clubhouse. And if you want to watch me in all my unshaven glory, I really do look like a homeless guy. I haven't shaved in like 5 or 6 days. It's not good, but whatever. If you want to see me on YouTube, it's youtube.com/@thepersistentrumor. And you can either click on the live tab or you can keep typing. And after you type @thepersistentrumor/streams, and you'll also get to the live portion. And of course, after all of these are recorded live, they are archived on YouTube forever and ever and ever. And my agenda is to live forever or die trying. Hey, how about that? All right, so that's it, folks. As always, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for the folks on Wisdom who are listening and anyone on Clubhouse who is listening. Peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon. Let's continue the conversation on the Wisdom app. Okay, here comes Doobie, ready to share his brilliance. What's up, my brother?
Chocolate Yoddah, my brother. How are you, my man?
Oh, man, another day in paradise. I have no complaints, sir.
There you go. There you go. I tell you, man. I was just sitting here listening to you, man. You know, I try to catch you every day, and I was just really listening to you. And I said, you know what? I before I go to this meeting I'm about to go to, I said I got to come in and say something. But you know, because you were driving it, man. I mean, it's like you were driving it. It's just like make you want to say something, but but no, I will say this though. I mean, I love the topic though. I love what you were stating. You know, because to me, it when you were speaking, especially when it comes to the imagination, I'm really for the imagination, but I really agree and get what you're saying about it, and especially as far as being in these moments, because to me, the imagination is much stronger than the dream.
Mm,
Say that because there is a difference, and I think sometimes people will get the dream and the imagination mixed up and think they are the same thing, but they're not. So the imagination is very powerful, but I think based off of especially the way you've stated things, if we're not aware of the moment, then trying to reach that destination of that imagination will never be reached because we will not be
mm,
able to adjust to the inconsistencies or the bumps along the road. You see, so I
mm.
think what you were stating is very powerful, man. That was a very good way of stating it as well. So I really like that.
Thanks, man. No, that's a strong point. That's a very strong point. Yeah, I always get concerned when you're on the mic because I'm like, how's Doobie going to try and trick me today?
No, well, you know, actually, I tell you, I was in such a kudos mode here. It's like, oh my goodness, man. You know, I was just listening to. I mean, you know, this is what I'm talking about, man. I mean, to be able to speak to people, hear people speak wisely, to speak their perspectives. I mean, this is how we grow, man. I mean, even now, you've got me focusing on this imagination thing because that's
Mm,
really what I drive in anyway. You know, you set your goal or your agenda, and your imagination is the force behind all of that, right?
right.
And so, if we're not cautious, right, we can lose that imagination. We can lose it if we're not being in our real, right? If we're not in these moments. I mean, it's really serious though, because see, the way I figure it right now, if we look around at this society, at our culture, at our worlds, right? At this moment, our imagination is being clouded, right? It's disappearing, and we're more focusing on the dream more than ever. And the dream, if you can tell the difference between a dream and imagination, the dream is just that. You are dreaming of something that you not going to reach in essence, you know, unless you get some kind of lucky break. But a dream, to me, in essence, is something that we've already experienced, but we're just not, we can't recall it because there's still a lesson to be learned from it, right? But the
Yeah,
imagination is something new and creative. You see what I'm saying? It's not a dream, you know?
that's interesting. It's funny how whenever you're talking, I get song lyrics coming into my head. And
That's a
you
good
know,
thing. Really.
yeah, it really is because these song lyrics sometimes are very instructive. And DeBarge had a lyric that said, "A dream, a simple fantasy that I wish was reality."
Oh, wow. Love that. Yeah, man. Yes. And you know, I love music and really, you know, the music, they all send messages and they help create the imagination. You see what I'm
Right.
talking about? It's because it's in that moment, you know, and it's not about a dream. It's not at all because I'm really, this is a good topic, man. It really is. I tell you, Chocolate, this is great. And like I said, it's got me even now focused on this even more because once I get off here and I get out of my meeting and whatever, I'm still going to have this on my mind. And so now I'm going to try to build off of that, off of this
Nice.
dialogue and this talk that we're having now. And so again, this is why I love having these kind of dialogues and talks and listening to people.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's powerful.
Yeah, no, that's that is music to my ears because that's all I want to do. I want to inspire people to consider new and different things, and so that feedback is priceless. Thank you for that.
Oh yes, sir, man. I tell you what, if you keep it going, you're gonna start something. I don't think you're gonna be ready for it, Chocolate Yoddah. It's gonna be a movement, man. Yeah, man. I tell you, but keep going, man. I tell you, I appreciate you, my brother. You keep it going. I love you for your moments. I love you for what you do. This is powerful. We need it. It's essential. And for me, I'm glad that we have crossed paths because I'm telling you, man, it's always something to learn, something to grow from. And I love it. And that's my food, right? That's my food for me. And I really love it. Thank you, Chocolate Yoddah, my brother. You keep this going, man. I'm telling you, if I had more time, I would love to chime with you, but I got to go. But thank you again. Everyone in the queue, I love you all. Keep it going. This is wisdom.
All right, that's Doobie. I appreciate that and love and respect to Doobie. He's always got amazing topics. So that's it, folks. It's been a pleasure. Peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.